Hi, this is the help video for Access Chapter 9, the Prepare Case. This is movie number 3. We're picking up on step number 9. So this is the last thing that we're going to do on this form right now. So I saved and closed out of my query. And now I want to be in layout view of my form that I get the data from, right? So Barry wants to add a button, right? So that from this screen you can run the button and open the query, get the query results based on whatever you're putting in there. So we need to come up to our controls and find the button control. So it's right there. We're just going to drop it in. And now it says, okay, what do you want to do with this button? Well, we want to run a query, right? So we have to find where that is here. And it's kind of hidden in here. It's under miscellaneous. And we're going to pick Run Query. We're going to select Next. Okay, what do you want the query? What query do you want the button to run? Well, we want to run that one we were just working on, the Red Bluff QBF. Next. Let's see what else. We want to have text in the button. And the text that we want to say is going to be search records. Next. And then we want to actually call this button. I always name it something. So let's see. Let me hold on a second while I read it. Okay, so they are not having you, but I want to tell you what I normally do. I usually do CMD and then some name, but we're not, so like I would do CMD run query but you know, something like that, so that it's meaningful. But they don't want you to change it, the instructions, so I'm just going to leave it like that. So we're going to go ahead and say finish, and there's our little button. So now I'm going to save this and I'm going to go to form view and let's try and run this. So let's say I want to do renewal month of April. Search, and look, it takes me from there. It runs the query and the renewal date is April. So let me get rid of that. Let me just put in here member name, let's say Winter. Search. So member name Susan Winter, and she is in New Mexico. So that's the result. So this is working great. So if I just put in here ST under employee name, no employees with an ST. So let's do, let's see, well, let's just do S. And there. Employee name, as long as it has an S somewhere in it, it's going to show up. So let's see, let's do Madison. So let's just type MAD, search, and there we get. So, and you can combine it. So let's say we want to do Madison, April. Let's see if we get anything. We don't. So let's take this out and run it and see March. Let's do March. Renewal month, March, search, and there it is. So what you want to understand is you can do one or more of these and then you search it. So let's go ahead and save that and close it. That is pretty cool. Very powerful stuff. All right, so let's look at step number 10. Entering and modifying data directly in tables is not a best practice. I've talked about that a lot. Forms provide a more user-friendly method of entering and modifying records with the ability to focus on one record at a time. Mr. Ch9 would like a form that can be used to add members one at a time. So we're going to use the form wizard to create use all the fields from table member in a columnar layout. So we're going to do create form wizard, the table or query that we're pulling it from, table member. We want everything. Next. Column, yep, next. And it's going to be FRM add member. Finish. And there it is. One record at a time, right? So let's go ahead and close that out. We're done with 10. Now we're just going to play with that a little bit. So let's open up that. All right, so let's go to step 11. Layout view allows database developers to see a form with data in the field and make changes. So let's go ahead and open that form that we just created in layout view. All right, so in layout view, resize last name, street name, and city so that their right border lines up with the first name text box above. All right, so one of the things that I like to do, and I'm going to actually have you go to design view for this. Instead of having you try and do all these, what I want to do is I want to select all of these. Okay, so all I do is hold my shift key, and then I'm just going to drag these back, and I'm going to drag them left of where they're at, left of first name. Then I'm going to pick first name. I'm going to come up here to arrange and then align. Nope, sorry, not align. Size to widest. And let me undo all that. We could have, you know what, we could just select all these and then size to narrowest. And then they all line up. So let's see if that's what we needed to do. So that their right box lines up with, yep. Let's go back to layout. So no fussing. You automatically, it's just automatically done. All right, resize the member ID box so that it's approximately the same size as the state box. Okay, well, when they say approximate, so we're going to do member ID and state. Right? So we want state. No, what am I doing here, Helen? Okay. Resize so it is the same size. Oh, we're going to go this way. So this one, I'm going to scroll it in, right? But knowing what I just showed you, if we go over to design view, I'm going to put this back out, and I select both of those with my shift key, and then I can go arrange, size to narrowest, and they automatically become the same size. Super easy, and you're not fussing with things. Okay, save the form. So we're done with 11. 12. So we're going to start working with some properties. So the enabled property and option in the data tab in the property sheet is set to yes for default. That means that all fields are active and can be tabbed to. So here, if I come over here and I go to form view and I hit tab, look, I go to everything, right? But the member ID field is a primary key, can't be changed, so we don't want somebody to go there. We don't need them to go there. And we want to change this so we're not able to, you bypass it. So this is a simple process. We just need to go into our property sheet. We're going to spend a lot of time in here. So, and I have member ID right here where it says enabled. I'm just going to double click. And you're going to notice it turns a little bit gray there. Because now if I were to go to form view and I tab around, do you see it doesn't even take me to that first field? It bypasses it. All right, so we're done with 12. 13, the default value, an option on the data tab, allows you to define a value that will automatically appear. Most members are from Santa Fe, so we want to put our cursor on city, and we're going to put the default value here of Santa Fe, quotes, and state is NM. So the default city is Santa Fe, the default state is NM. Save the form. We're done with 13. 14. You can also use the date function in calculations as the default value. In the current date function, let's see, default value in the date join text, use the date add function, so the default value of the renewal date is 1 year from the date joined. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, we did that. We did that when we were working with fields, but it's the same process. So we're going to come in here to date value, and I'm going to zoom it so you guys can see it. Make sure my font is bigger. Ooh, that's too big. Let's go to 16. All right, so I'm going to equal date add. That's the function. So we got to put a parentheses, and then we're going to talk the date range that we're going to use is year. We're talking about years because I want to add a 1, and that's going to be 1 year added to the field date joined. Square bracket. So what I'm saying here is using the mode of year, add 1 to date joined, and that's going to be the default here. Save the form, and we're done. Let's go to 15. Change the background property of the detail section of the form. So one of the things about the property sheet is you always want to pay attention to what you have selected, right? So here I'm just on this text box. See, it says text box. Here it's label. If I click outside, it's a section, and the section is detail. So always keep your eye on these two areas when you're dealing with the property, because the properties change based on what you have selected. So we want to do the background color of the form to white, background 1, darker 15. So really it's this light gray. That's darker 5, darker 15 right there. Okay, and then change the background property of the form header. So we got to come up here and click on that. Background color. Click on the ellipses, and this one is going to be white background 1. Save it. Let's just peek at it. Okay, so we've got our gray, we've got our white. So we're done with 15. Let's go to 16. The date picker is a pop-up calendar that allows users to enter date by clicking on a date. By default, the date picker appears next to a date field unless the date field has an input mask. So, date joined. Does this have a input mask? And it does. So the date joined has an input mask that was set to the property of the table member. We don't want that. We want to put the date picker. So what I have to do is I have to delete that input mask from this form. It's still on the table, but not on this form. And then save it. And let me flip over and show you what happens. Oops. So I'm going to go to a new form, and then I'm going to come down here to date joined, and look, there's a date picker. That's what happened because I did that. All right, so we're done with 16. Let's go to 17. A logo is an unbound control that can be added. And so we want to do that. We downloaded an image. So we want to put that in there. The Red Bluff logo. All right, so we want to be in layout view, and then in the form header we want to click this title that says add form member, and we're going to change this to add a new member. And I'm going to size it. And then I want to add the logo. So I'm going to go to Design, Logo. Mine is in my downloads. Red Bluff. Okay. And it added this tiny little logo there, right? So delete the blank header box to the right of the logo. So on the logo, I'm going to move this real quick. So you can see, do you see this box? I made it tiny, but you can see there's a box to the right. I'm going to hit, oh, Helen. Nope, let's do this again. Actually, I'm going to take this and just put it over here for now, out of the way, so I can show you guys. So we're going to do Design, Logo. I'm going to pick this. It's going to put it in here super tiny. So all I did was delete all those other boxes. I did that poorly, but okay. So when the logo comes in, it comes in two parts. This part and then the part you would put this title in, but we're not doing it that way. So we wanted to get rid of that blank that's on the right that doesn't have the logo. So then we want to format this so that it is a good, okay, the other thing we're supposed to do is we're supposed to move it to the right. I could have just, so we're going to take this and pull this left. Let me get rid of this here. I'm going to size this down, and then I want to bring this logo and just size it so that you can see it. So we have our new member, we have our logo. I'm going to bring that a little bit closer, right? So add new member and our logo and nothing to the right of it. So that's kind of how they want it. So let's go ahead and save that. And we have one more step that I want to do on this one, and that's the date and time for the header. So in order to do that, we want to be on the Design tab, and then we're going to click on this where it says date and time. And what do we want to include? We want to include add the date and time. So date and time, but it doesn't, using the default settings. Okay, so we're going to add that. It puts it over here on the right edge. So that's good. That's what we want. So now we can save this and we can close this. I'm sorry, we can save it. Now the next thing is going to be, well, I'm going to just do that here, 19. We're going to add a new record. Notice it doesn't let me in there, so I'm going to type Notice the defaults, Santa Fe, New Mexico, are filled in. No phone number. Date joined. Oh wait, there is a phone number, sorry. 505-555-548, nope. 555-4882. Date joined. Accept the default. Well, I'm glad I did this because I must have missed something here. This should have today's current date. So I'm going to switch over to layout view, and in the date joined property, I'm going to put the default value is going to be equal date. That will pick up today's date. I'm going to save it, close it, go to this end. And now if I click, oh, Helen, I'm going to put in today's date. Oh my gosh. Okay, so somewhere along the way I messed up. It should default to today's date. I added that in. Now if I went to a new record, it would put that in there. So just make sure in your layout that in your property sheet for date joined, you have the equal date. Remember, we took out the input mask, and I must have either forgot to put this in or accidentally deleted it. All right, so we're done with this one. I'm done with 19. All right, I'll pick up the next movie in step 20.